this month's Mastermind. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Taryn.
And today we're going to give you guys some spring cleaning tips. Spring is right around the corner, so, and I know that sounds a little funky because we definitely aren't going to show you exactly how to clean your home, but we're going to give you some spring cleaning tips for your website, actually. So there's a lot of things that you can do to kind of make sure that your website is ready for the upcoming, hot season. And make sure that it's where it needs to be to reflect your business.
Absolutely. You know how important it is for spring cleaning for people who are planning on selling their house and for buyers who are now going to be moving. So we want you to be prepared as well to get ready just like your clients would.
Yep, so we're going to hop right in, and at the end, stay tuned. We're going to have a downloadable resource for you guys to use and when you're spring cleaning your website. Our first tip for you guys is to declutter your website. So similar to when you're spring cleaning your house and you're decluttering and getting rid of old things that you don't wear anymore, old things that you don't use. Same thing goes for your website. Honestly, you don't want to have pages on there that are irrelevant or that you haven't finished yet.
Right.
But our first kind of tip is to combine any pages that have duplicate content or content that is way too similar. And I think that's really important to make sure not only that your site visitors don't get confused, and also that search engines like Google and Bing do not get confused because they don't like duplicate content.
Right, and we want to make it as easy as possible for your site visitors to find the information that they're looking for. So if they have to go to several different pages just to collect a, kind of a resource, then that's just frustrating. A good example that I can think of is some agents tend to have multiple staging tips. Like there will be curb appeal, and then to what to do during an open house, and how to declutter like this, and all of those different things all go under that umbrella of staging tips. So if they're clear, separate thoughts, then great. But if you can just combine them into one resource, that's even more helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's a little bit different when you're like maybe looking at blogs, when you're doing, timely blog posts. They can be separate, but when you're on your site, you want your pages to be as concise and clear in the idea as possible. So you don't want to have all of those different pages on the site because your visitors will get frustrated, and unfortunately they'll probably leave. So
yeah, exactly.
So that's our first tip for that. The other thing, like I mentioned before, getting rid of pages that maybe you started and never finished, or old pages that just have content that is of no use anymore. I think it's important to get rid of those. To make sure that you don't have any of those blank pages on your site, because that'll also frustrate the visitors.
Right, and to make sure that the content that you do have is relevant to your target audience.
Absolutely.
I was working with one of my clients in Florida who targets the baby boomer kind of generation, and had a lot of first-time homebuyer resources, which most people in that generation aren't going to be first time. It'll be their second time, or snowbirds, or they just don't need that. Or if you're looking for a higher sort of price range, then you probably don't need information about foreclosures and short sales and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, so with that, making sure that your overall site kind of conveys how you want to appear as a business owner, or as a business in general, and making sure that everything is, up to par for that and makes sense to your site visitors.
For sure. And then the other thing that we've been talking about just lately is those submenus.
Yeah, so you don't want your submenus to get too crowded, and we've seen it in the past because that's been a huge thing for people to navigate through the site, is using those submenus. But we found that as they get to be kind of out of control. Maybe, for example, you have a tab for your areas, and then you just start listing. You can have, I've seen people with 50 submenus for each area. And that's not really what we want. Site visitors are, I think, about 70 or 80% of people are coming to sites using a mobile device, and those submenus on a mobile device can get out of control, even worse than you see them on a desktop.
Right.
So you want to make sure that either and when we've been doing this a lot with our clients, either you're getting rid of those submenus completely and just using your menu items, or that you're at least narrowing them down. And I think a good way to do that is to kind of envision your submenus as something to be on a landing page. So when someone clicks, so let's say areas, for example, if you have no submenus to say what areas they are, someone's going to get through the site, people are going to know to click on those menu items. So I would click area, you get there and then you have your whole list of areas right there. You don't need to throw them all in the submenus. People are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Your site visitors are smarter than you think they are. They can find their way through the site. And that's going to be a lot less frustrating for them because they're not scrolling through on the homepage trying to go through all your submenus.
Right.
So I kind of begin with a landing page in mind and then kind of use that landing page as where you would put your submenus. So it could even go for sellers. What I've been doing with a lot of my clients we would create a seller landing page, and then you have all of your seller resources right there on that page. They don't have to go through and filter through the submenus.
Right. And that's when you first get a Dakno site with us, you automatically have those submenus. We have the list your home, the CMA, and the neighborhood sold report. But we also have that seller's landing page, which is under the menu link. And most people don't even find it because they get right to that hover state with those submenus.
Right, that's the other thing. A lot of people, they'll forget that you can actually click on the menu items because they think that the submenus are the only thing you could click on. So in my opinion, I would just eliminate submenus altogether. I think that it kind of differs person to person, but I would want just the menu items. So, and what you can even do to help yourself even further with that is to kind of begin with the menu in mind. So what menu items are absolutely necessary? So I have people who work in new construction, and that's like their like number one menu item besides like the search for homes. So they need to have a new construction menu item.
Right.
So just think about what are the biggest topics that you want to have up there, and that kind of goes back to how what you're targeting as a business.
Our next tip for you is to throw away expired items in your home. Go through the fridge and get rid of any food that's been there way past its expiration date. Go through coupons and any sort of flyers that you have for dates that have passed. Really anything that is old and is not going to help you with this new year.
So get rid of information with old dates, anything that maybe is from the year before. And for example, I have a lot of clients who do annual events pages, local events.
Yep.
And a lot of times, not even with just real estate sites, but with sites in general, I go there and I'm like, oh, perfect, a whole list of this year's events in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I get there and it's dated back to 2015, and I'm like, okay, great. So I move on to the next site. This can go for a lot of different things. Events is just one that I see pretty frequently because that's a good resource to have on your site. It builds that SEO for you, and it gives your site visitors a good resource to have. But just making sure that you kind of set timelines for when you need to be updating these. So if you're doing annual events, make sure you have it to do on yourself at the beginning of the year, every year, to update those. Or if it's something monthly, like for another example.
Like market reports.
Right, like market reports. And I have a client who does monthly market reports for different condo buildings in their market. And so they need to make sure that they're updating those monthly, or else it looks like it's outdated and that you don't have the most accurate information on your website, which is, frustrating for the visitor, and it makes you look, not credible.
Right. It looks like that you're not spending time on your website, and if you're not, then why should visitors? Along the same lines as the events, other websites, like Caitlin was saying, don't always update their information as often as they should. So it's important for you, if you link to any outside sources, that you double check that those links are still valid. Some people let their domains expire, that they have good updated information on there, so that you're still being a good resource for your site visitors.
All right, yeah, so absolutely making sure that you're just kind of keeping up with those timely deadlines and making sure that your site, looks good to the visitor overall. All right, so our next tip for you guys is to organize your CRM, your Dakno admin. So I think this is really important and a huge part of keeping your business organized, especially getting ready for this new season. So when you're organizing Dakno admin, the first thing that I want people to think about is going through and making sure that all of the contacts that are in your system they have a status on them.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with our statuses in Dakno admin, it's really similar to just like an A, B, C, and D kind of thing, like you'd see with other CRMs.
Right.
If
like
you
hot, cold leads, that kind of thing.
Right. If you want more information about our statuses, just click the link below and you can read all the different descriptions for each of our statuses. But making sure that all of your contacts have those statuses will make it really easy for you to not only gauge how much you need to be following up with each of them, how often they should be receiving email drip campaign updates, and also just being able to kind of segment your leads and be able to send them targeted information based off of the kind of status that they have. So I would definitely recommend doing that first.
Right. And because our statuses are really part of our lead logic. So this is a little robot almost that is going to help you manage your leads. If you say, all right, Caitlin is a pursue, a hot lead, then, like Caitlin was saying, we can set up other functionality where you'll get an email that says, okay, it's time to follow up with Caitlin. It's time to follow up.
Right.
Or on the other side of the spectrum, if she's a monitor, a cold lead, then if Caitlin starts acting like a hot lead and saving searches, saving properties on your site, then your system will know, wait, she's looking like she's making a move, and update you again and say, hey, it's time to reach out to Caitlin because she's going to be doing something soon. Yeah,
absolutely. And that actually brings up one of the other points I wanted to discuss with the organizing your CRM tip. Is that you should always have your contact reminders on. If you don't have contact reminders, just contact your marketing specialist, or you can contact our main line. I'll put the number down below. But just making sure that you are getting updated when you should be following up with these leads, because we all know how important it is to follow up at certain times with certain people, especially for those new leads that come in the system right then and there. I think there's like a 90% chance that, I don't remember exactly the statistic, but there's a huge chance if you contact a new lead within the first 5 minutes that you'll end up converting that lead more so than others.
Right.
So just making sure that you are updating those statuses, getting contact reminders to your inbox every day will make it a lot easier for you to organize your CRM.
For sure. And it'll be easy as you're getting more and more leads coming in. If you're starting with a kind of a dirty database and you just keep piling it on, it's not going to get any cleaner. It's not going to be easy for you to manage those leads within your system.
Right.
Another thing you can take advantage of is tags. So you can put on buyer or seller, for example, and then it's, easy as sorting by tag, and you can see all of the buyers, all of the sellers, and, maybe where you met them, that sort of thing.
Tags have a lot of different uses, and I think the biggest thing when you're creating tags in Dakno Admin is that you're staying organized and sticking to a system, because otherwise it defeats the whole purpose. Tags are used for organization, so if you throw a bunch of random ones in there that you're never going to use again, it's like you can never sort your contacts that way, and it's just going to make it really difficult for you.
And if you've done that already, again, now's a good time to go ahead, and if you have buyer looking to buy and other things, kind of that first declutter. Get rid of all of those separate tags and make one kind of umbrella tag.
Absolutely, yeah. So combining, similar to what we did with the declutter, make sure that you're combining any that are really similar, or getting rid of ones that you don't use at all, because that's just going to confuse your team and confuse you in the long run. So, and like you mentioned before, about having the ability to sort by the tags, I think that's a really, really good way to kind of tailor your follow-up. So if you're sorting by buyers, you want to make sure that all of those buyers are getting, a targeted buyers email drip campaign if they are, and then you can make sure that people who are on a monitor status, so that you're not really personally following up with, and a buyer are getting the same drip campaign. And then same thing goes if you create a new tag. I know some people who use tags for the area. That way it'd be cool to kind of send targeted drip campaigns, maybe just with area information or area market data.
Yeah, for sure.
So however you want to use the tags for your personal workflow is fine. Just the number one tip is to stay organized with those and really use them to your advantage, and being able to target them with the most relevant information for that type of lead.
Yeah, and like I said, this CRM is your personal assistant. It can be your remind you to do things. It can keep notes in there for you about your leads so that you know what your topics are. There's tons it can do. It can really make your busy home buying and selling, a lot easier for you.
Absolutely. And one thing that I just want to throw into this tip is to go through your email marketing. So we give you a lot of, or 3 different email campaigns and a lot of messages within those campaigns. There are 2 buyer campaigns and 1 seller campaign, but I want you to go through those, see if the lingo matches your business.
Your tone of voice.
Your tone of voice. If you have a particular niche and something doesn't fit up just right, go through and just really take a deep look at those and see if you do need to make any changes, because that way you're going to make sure that your leads and your contacts are getting the most relevant and specific data about you and about the area and homes they're searching for.
Yeah.
Our spring cleaning tip to go along with this is to organize the hidden places in your house. So similar to your contacts and your leads can't see your CRM. Organize those places like your closet. Maybe you organize it. And this kind of goes along actually with the tagging that we were talking about. You can sort your closet by color.
Yeah.
And then also organizing things like your junk drawer and your cabinets. Make sure all your, all the Tupperwares have lids and things like that. So that's our spring cleaning tip for the organizing your CRM.
The next spring cleaning tip we have for you is to update your decor to match the season. So make sure that you've got the brighter colors coming in, and you've got the new flowers on the front lawn, the new welcome mat, everything to make sure that the presence of your home is given the feeling that you want. Along those same lines is updating your social media presence to make sure that you're portraying your best side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I see a lot of my agents come along and they have, they send me links to their, Facebook page that they want to link to their website. Mm-hmm. It's like their personal page. Or sometimes I'll get business pages that have never been touched. It's just they have a profile photo and their address, but no one's, updating that frequently. And I think that it's important to not only stay active on those social accounts, but make sure that they're updated with frequent information or relevant information, and also that you're looking at all of the different business listings that you should have.
Yeah, so you hit on a couple things there. First is making sure that you have all of the business listings that you should have. The best way to do that is by using Moz Local. We can send you the link. But basically, you put in your business name, and it'll let you know which you're present on, if the data on there is consistent as far as your contact information, which are fully built out, which need a little bit more work. So definitely recommend that you check that out and work on the ones that do need work. Another thing is making sure that your branding's consistent. So if your website has certain color scheme or font and all of that, then make sure it's carried through to your business listings. Also, you want to make sure to keep your personal and your business accounts separate. Your business account should be giving off the professionalism and expertise that you want to portray to your potential leads, and avoid the political posts, for example, that may be on your personal accounts. Because when you're linking to from your website or from your email signature, we want to make sure that we're really taking advantage of those business listings that have your contact information and are portraying you as a good agent.
All right, guys. So our last tip for you in the spring cleaning webinar is to strategize. Come up with a strategy. A lot of times with your home spring cleaning, you do your entire deep clean of the house, and then sometimes people will let it go and the house just starts to get dirty progressively throughout the year again. So one thing that I like to do with my home and like to tell agents to do with their website is to come up with a strategy to make sure that your website stays that way. So similar to you would do with your home, come up with a daily thing that you need, the things that you need to do every day, and then a plan for the things that you need to do weekly, a plan for the things you need to do monthly, so on and so forth.
Right.
So same thing could go for your site, making sure that anything needs to be updated when it needs to be updated. Put a to-do on yourself. Make sure that you know that maybe you need to assign yourself to-dos in the CRM or something like that.
Yeah.
But just making sure that you're staying on top of it throughout the year and throughout your website's life cycle.
Right. And so you can do it on whatever kind of makes sense with your schedule. Some of the things that we talked about is the market stats. If you do those, maybe do it monthly or quarterly or yearly. But make sure that you have, again, a plan for each one of those things. Dates for those events, updating those. Your CRM, like every day. Make sure you're adding notes to the leads that you spoke with that day and updating their statuses as you talk to them.
Signing them up for saved searches.
Yeah. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
And again, with your social media, make sure that it looks like you're active on there. Not every, 5 minutes or anything, but at least probably weekly, I would say.
Yeah, I think a good plan for the social media is to come up with like a schedule, see how much you can do if you have an admin person that can help you out, kind of decide who's going to post what day, what time, make sure that you are posting frequently enough. And then along with that, we always say for SEO, it's best to have a lot of fresh content, new content on your site. So another tip would be to set a content kind of calendar for yourself.
Sure.
If you're not on a marketing package and you're doing your own content, that's fine, but just come up with, and I think weekly is probably good, maybe even more, but I would say weekly is a good thing, a good goal to set for yourself. So writing a blog or writing a page on your site every week, making sure that you're getting that fresh content on there so that Google sees you as a reputable source and, therefore kind of starts bumping you up in the search results.
And it's a twofer, really, because then you can go ahead and promote that on your social media.
Yeah.
Updating your social media at the same time. Yeah,
absolutely. One other thing I did want to throw in this topic is the making sure that you have the correct keywords on your site. So sometimes, and we see this a lot with our clients, we go through different cycles of keywords. So we start with something, we're like, okay, that's not working, let's try something else. So a lot of different keywords get dispersed on the site, and we want to make sure that you have a solid goal in mind for your content, for your business, and your site as a whole. So making sure, so for example, if you want to rank for Miami homes for sale, that is clear on all of your SEO, in all of your blog posts. You're using that keyword frequently, and you're not mixing it with a bunch of different other areas, because it's going to make it easier for you and for Google to find you.
For sure. I think that's one thing that we can kind of struggle with is like shiny object syndrome. So when probably the past few months, while inventory is low, everybody wants more listings. So our strategy has been very seller focused. Well, come April, when the buyers kick up, then we're probably going to want to, push that way a little bit. So it's important to kind of see through whatever strategy you start to make sure that you can actually accomplish it. Because if you're going just up to where you need to be, you're going to miss that actual kind of tip point.
Absolutely. So really just coming up with your strategy overall. I think this is the biggest tip for me, is just making sure that you have goals in mind for this. And next month, we're going to talk a little bit about how, and to stick with the analogies, how you can improve your curb appeal, and a couple different things that you can use to make sure that your brand is portrayed a certain way and that your site reflects that as well. So stay tuned for that. But I think that's all for today. So if you guys have any questions or liked this webinar, give us a thumbs up, call our number. Again, I'll have that link down below. And a couple other resources will be in the message box. So if you guys need anything, it'll be down there. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks.